a good scope of the entire view of this.
Yeah. Jay, I get bogged down in the day-to-day and the game-to-game and what about this position and that position. But Scott Perry, in all fairness, again today, he said, we're not going to get this done in 1 year,
right?
And we're not going to skip steps, and it's going to be done brick by brick.
Yeah, pretty much. It seems like me and Scott Perry on the same timeline, Whitey.
Yeah?
I've been talking about this upcoming trade deadline and next offseason, so we'll see where it goes. I think Scott Perry is he's coming in, he's setting the foundation, and it sounds like he is more than willing to see this season out, but also make some changes as well.
Yeah, right, yeah. And not once that I can recall has he uttered the P word since he's been here.
Hell no.
Not once, even like, we would like to make the P word.
No, just success. Success is a very, very broad term that can be defined by just about anybody.
Sustained success.
Sustained success is the furthest
which
that he
had
will
in
go.
Detroit, apparently.
That we do know. That is 100%. If you are going to say what exactly is sustained success, I guess that could maybe be it, because he keeps pointing to that time specifically. But yeah, I mean, I like it. I don't like that last year it felt like there was that P word mandate for this team, and I think that caused a lot of pressure from the coach and also from the decision maker, Monty McNair. Like, I think we maybe saw some moves that were in the name of him trying to get the most success out of the team last season instead of having a long-term vision. And so, I like that there hasn't been any sort of even win number, right? We haven't even heard I want to be 500. I want to be, this team should be 35 wins.
Right.
None of it. And so, again, it's good to kind of have your feet where you are and not look too far ahead, because, again, you just don't know what this team is going to look like so far in the future. And I mean, it really does, especially Scott Perry, it would do him no good to come out and say something like that, because then all of a sudden we have something to exactly judge them on and in a goal that they might not reach.
Yeah, I still think that it's something that he's trying to do that's a little more subtle than just throwing in the towel, blow it up. It's just kind of, again, seeing how good they are early in the year, then maybe pivoting off of that if things don't come together. But I'm not sure they really expect things to come together in the way a lot of us as Kings fans would like to see them this year.
No,
I don't
absolutely.
even know if that's really the plan.
What's the expectations of Kings fans?
I think a lot of Kings fans, not
low.
all. Yeah, for the most part, I think it's low. But there are some, fans are going to fan. There's some that, hey, they could win. They're going to be a top 6 seed with Russell Westbrook. They could win 48 games.
Yeah, I
don't think they're going to.
It feels like most people are probably in this team feels like a 12 to a 10 seed. And I think that's like a lot of people are feeling play-in and bottom play-in more specifically. And if they make a 7 or a 6 seed, which would be a 7 or an 8 seed, which would be top of the play-in, that would be almost like a success for this exact group. And so, I don't know. Yeah, again, about the Scott Perry interview, the one thing he mentioned about Russell Westbrook is identity. Like, that was the first thing I believe he mentioned, why he emphasized bringing Russell Westbrook over, specifically filling a gap for Keegan Murray. The first thing he mentions is, well, Russ is really going to help us establish that identity part of what we're looking for here. And again, I think that's that should tell you what maybe the true goal of this season is. It's not wins and losses. It is truly about, doesn't matter if this team wins 30 games, if at the end of the year we have a better understanding of what kind of team we're rolling out every night and what that team is trying to do to the other team, I think that's really going to be a success in Scott Perry's mind.
Yeah, that's a great point. It wasn't, hey, we bring in Russ, he's going to win 5 games for us. It was,
didn't even say compete, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He's going to help us establish that identity going forward. So maybe Scott Perry, in a way, is trying to tamp down expectations a little bit. At the same time, you do have games. You do want people to come out to see your team. So, yeah, he helps in that sense too.
Of course, yeah. But jersey sales, all that.
It's a delicate dance that he's doing right now.
Yeah,
but he doesn't get the credit. If that is what he's doing, he's not getting any credit for that nationally.
No, and he's probably not going to get the credit for a couple of years, right? Yeah. Because the things that he's talking about specifically is instilling a mindset into Keegan Murray, instilling a mindset into Neek Clifford and Maxime Reynaud and Dylan Cardwell and all the young guys. Keon Ellis even fits into that. Like, it's about, Russ is more about so that those guys, when they're in years 8, 9, and 10, saw what Russ brought to the table every single day, and hopefully he can instill some of the things that they'll take later in their professional careers, hopefully for the Sacramento Kings. And I think, again, that's what the real goal is here. And to your point, Scott Perry's not going to get credit for that until 4 or 5 years down the line when those guys directly attribute, I learned from Russell Westbrook, when everybody else leaves, that's when you actually start your personal session of 2 hours or whatever it is that he's going to do. And so, I think you're spot on there.
Yeah, that's because, you just try to listen to him and watch him and figure out what's going on. And I just keep coming back to that spot. Martin Ramirez in the YouTube chat asks a fair question. How can you establish a culture with old guys playing, not winning, not letting the young guys play? I think Mark's a little upset, and I think he probably speaks for other Kings fans.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair question, and that's tough. Like, I think that's also part of it, though, too, is like staying a professional while things aren't going well. And, that's, again, probably not what fans want to hear, but it's all part of it. Like, I don't know. If anything, like that's really where you show your professionalism, right? Like it's easy for everybody to understand. Keegan's already been in a winning situation, right? He already understands what it looks like, what a team should feel like, the Beam team season and all that. But when things maybe aren't going well, when you're churning through development or churning through some regime change or whatever it might be, you still need to remain a professional. You still need to take care of yourself. You still need to try and remain competitive. And so I think, again, I think the hope is that the things that they're instilling by the end of the season make an on-floor impact, and hopefully, it starts to show, and they're a lot more of a team that is competitive every night. And I think that's really, again, at the end of the day, the goal is that they remain competitive, and wins and losses, whether you make shots on a given night or not, I think it's more about the process than result.
By the way, Campio, yes, I am wearing a Fort Wayne Mad Ants.
Yeah, I don't think that's not a team anymore, is it?
I don't think it is. Yeah. I think this is an old D-League.
D-League, right? Yeah, back in the day.
My friend Mark Kreidler gave this to me once.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
Thank you for noticing. How do you answer that, Jay? Martin Ramirez, how can you establish a culture with old guys playing, not winning, not letting the young guys play?
I'll let Scott Perry answer that question for me, and I think he has. I think he is saying that this is a transition season. Unfortunately, it's like this. If you have been given something that you can't get rid of as easy, there is a period of time that's going to allow you need a little grace, a little empathy. You need something that's going to allow you to get rid of it, right? And so as much as you might have a hot commodity to some, as we know, on a seller's market, on a buyer's market, on any type of market, it takes two to tango. And so as much as some, like Paul Ramirez, wants to see Dylan Cardwell, Isaiah Stevens, Keon Ellis, and whoever the hell else he wants to see, and Neek, play, that's all fine and dandy. But unfortunately, Scott Perry also got some veterans and some wily veterans. And we have talked about it a few times on this show. You've heard it all throughout Sacramento, and you continuously hear it as you brought up Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe, which I still don't understand why anybody listens to that damn podcast. But the point of it is this. It's not easy to spin away and get rid of somebody that's almost making $50 million. It's not easy to get rid of somebody who's been in the league for 16, 17 years, where from our understanding, there was only 2 or 3 teams that was in the market to get that person. I'm speaking to Debo. Now, when it's all said and done, do I think we'll see a lot more of Neek and a lot more of Max somewhere within the season? Absolutely. Will it start that way? Probably not. Because, again, he inherited this team. So I think this is just the way I see it, and this is what I'm reading into what Scott Perry is saying. I'm going to allow some of these wily veterans and allow this team to show and prove that they can win and make a playoff push or a play-in push or whatever the hell he thinks they're going to make. And after a certain amount of time, watch me start to puppeteer. I'm going to be a puppet master. So I say to the Kings fans, just hold tight. This is his first go-around. He only been on the job for 4 or 5 months.
You're right, but because you and I have had this conversation, it's tough to
ask
Kings fans to be patient.
I'm not asking them to be patient.
Yeah.
You didn't hear me as we talk about the P word.
You said sit tight.
Sit tight.
I mean, I agree with you, but, it's just a difficult sell.
Listen, I've no longer asked any Kings fan, especially myself, to be patient. If you have the opportunity to buy Kings tickets, if you spent your time and your effort to get down to Doco, to Arco, if you bought a jersey, if you spent any money and put some money into the Kings organization, I ain't asking nobody to be patient. I just said sit tight. That's not the same thing.
What's the difference?
The difference is is patience means we might be looking 2, 3, 4 years down the road.
Okay.
I'm not asking you to be patient because please be rah-rah.
Right.
Please let these people see you.
Yes.
Please jump on the show and voice your concern. See, I'm not turning a blind eye to that.
I gotcha.
You know what I mean? I'm saying, let's see what happens. And then if whatever your patience tolerance is, if it's 5 games, if it's now, which it sounds like Paul Ramirez is saying, voice your opinion, brother or sister. I'm not saying you should not. Please do it. But I'm just saying, let's see how it unfolds. I'm not asking you to be patient, though.
Yeah, the toughest person, the person with the toughest job, I think it would be Doug right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, trying to navigate everything Jay just said. And I was going to say, I think I totally understand what Jay there is saying. Like, he's more so saying, let it play out. Like, and I think, again, it's really tough, but we're talking about a couple months and the season is got to kind of play itself out in the same way that last season felt like it was kind of multiple years in one. That after Jay kind of breaking that down, that's kind of what it sounds like could be the situation again this year for us. Is it's more going to feel at the end of the year like it was 2 different seasons. Like Jay broke down, it's going to be the veterans. They're going to try and compete. They're going to give them an honest to goodness effort at trying to get one last hurrah at this. But the second they're 5 to 10 games below 500, they got to start transitioning. They got to start playing Neek. They got to start seeing what Maxime is about. And, will those guys get moved? Hopefully. I think that would be the most simpatico way for this all to end if DeMar or Zach LaVine or whoever or DeMar, whoever it is that moves on, obviously would be the smoothest transition. But I think Jay's point might be by the end of the year, I think the young guys are more than likely going to play, and I think it's just going to naturally play itself out. But you have to let it play out. You can't go into the season pretty much from Jump Street saying we're in tank mode. You gotta, you have this roster. You gotta give it an honest to goodness.
He didn't inherit it. See, the one thing about it is he never inherited a tank roster.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that, unfortunately, and that's why I say it takes 2, sometimes 3, maybe even 4 to tango. When you walk into a flea market, you walk into, something of that nature. As much as you might want something for amount of price, that may the market price might not dictate that. The person selling it may not dictate that. So it's hard to spin on a Zach LaVine. It's hard to spin on a DeMar DeRozan. It's hard to spin on people like that sometimes.
Especially if, to Martin Ramirez's question, let's say this is
Martin?
I think it's Martin.
Oh, my apologies. I call him Paul.
That's all right.
My bad.
Yeah, I think Paul's his brother.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Family member.
If that is the plan, then look at it this way. Okay, if that's the plan, if you play all your young guys early in the year, what does that do to the value of my guys that I want to move? Right?
Yeah. No,
if
it completely tanks it. Right. Yeah. What does that tell you, and what does that maybe tell the team that that you are trying to trade for them? Like what maybe these older guys, especially, have left in the tank, and then it's the question of, oh well, you guys aren't very good. If that player was good, wouldn't you be playing them? And so, yeah, absolutely. It only hurts their value, and obviously playing them and showcasing them, assuming that they play to the levels that they're capable of, that's the only way that this thing in the long run is going to work out, is if you can convince these other teams, or entice, I guess might be a better word, entice these other teams that DeMar DeRozan, Russell Westbrook, Zach LaVine, that these guys would be worth adding to their team for the last stretch of the season. These teams that are kind of potentially going to be on the fringe of competing or whatever, adding a veteran like DeMar DeRozan on a fairly manageable contract, adding Russell Westbrook on a minimum, that could definitely be enticing. You could easily see how that would be enticing for a competing team at the end of the year.
I'm going to give you a quick example of why I think something is a little bit different in the form of what Scott Perry is trying to do versus, let's just say, the last regime. At what point in time did we hear about Jonathan Kuminga being under the eye or under the watch of a Sacramento Kings organization?
Felt like almost immediately.
Once free agency started.
Right. And who was in charge at that point in time?
Scott Perry.
Yeah. I challenge both of you. I challenge anyone. And multiple times, we talked about John Collins being available for so long on this show. We talked about Lloyd Marketing being available for a quick minute. We heard plenty of names be mentioned, but when you rarely sit and peel through the pages Sacramento Kings normally weren't involved in that. It was, man, here we go. The Warriors, they're in the market for Lauri Markkanen. Soon as Jonathan Kuminga name popped up, Scott Perry was like, look, bro, I got a deal ready and waiting for you. Mm-hmm. And now, albeit the rest of the league wasn't that enticed on what was going on with Jonathan Kuminga, but it felt like the Kings lasted all the way to the end, to the finish line. And still, to this day, some people believe he's still in the running to come to the Sacramento Kings.
I think they'd love to be, yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I just say this. It's been a long time since we've heard a top name be associated with the Sacramento Kings. You can't tell me Scott Perry ain't hunting. I just truly believe it. Now, unfortunately, he's got some things in his home that he's got to, it's like, yeah, he wants to go get the Corvette, but right now, he driving that Maxima. And so when it's really all said and done, you got to work your way up there, unless you just
bring
want
the Corolla LE package.
Oh, that's done. Yeah, that's done. Nah, we ain't got no Corolla LE packages no more, man. No more of those.
That was Harrison Barnes and Kevin Herter.
Right? Kevin Herter,
right.
yeah.
All reliable.
Right. But I think when you start to hear it go radio silent, when the Kings aren't involved and you don't hear, a few things be mentioned, that's when I think it's time to be rah-rah. That's when it's time not to be patient. Again, I'm not asking anybody to be patient.
Yeah, I keep coming back to this, and I've said it a number of times here. This year, to me, looks like a developmental year for the Kings that is disguised as a win-now year.
Correct.
Right now, you look at them, it's like, wow, they got veterans. They could do this, they could do that. But I think the plan really is to develop the young guys and then do whatever you can with the veterans to set yourself up for
I hope so.
The big picture.
I really hope that is the plan, because I just fully believe that is the best. That's the only way that this situation is going to get better. I think it's very clear that even in the short term, this team has a very definite ceiling, and the only way that you're ever going to break through that ceiling, I think, is just by starting over and trying to get new pieces. I just don't think there's any way that you can make this core of Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. I can't imagine that being a Western Conference finalist
and they just
team.
Can't play the way Doug wants his team to play.
100%. Exactly. And you should throw Scott into there as well, because Scott is right. They've been in lockstep. And that's also that's not a guarantee. That's something that Monty McNair and Mike Brown really struggled with, right? Like Mike Brown would preach. He would be more so with his new regime preaching defense. Let's bring Juan Toscano Anderson in. I will play him if you bring him in. And Monty McNair is just saying, we just need to be 15th defensively, honestly. Coaches, he keeps preaching defense. We just need to get middle of the pack. Let's get good on offense. I legitimately think that these guys both believe, Doug Christie and Scott Perry both believe that defense is the way to go, and it's very clear, and it should, again, be another signal that more than likely the guys that are on this roster that don't seem to fit what the GM and the coach are both preaching, more than likely at the quickest opportunity, those guys will be replaced for people who do fit a very definite definition that Scott Perry has. Go listen to the interview this morning if you have any confusion of what that definition is. They know what they want from a Kings player, and I just don't think there's a lot of guys who fit that.
#why not? Is that
why not?